Ares Pav. Man, did he take the reunion seriously. For someone who had just returned from a serious battle, you would think he would have preferred to rest or something. Jason reunited with me into the night, over and over again until we both fell asleep too exhausted to continue. Not that I'm complaining about it, but you know. The next morning came, but we were too tired still sleeping in from our previous night's exercise. We trusted that one of the pack's caretakers would take care of Adriana for us. I woke up to his handsome face beside me. I explored every inch of his face and body with my eyes and hands, studying his body. "Hey, beautiful," Jason whispered as he saw me awake. "I can feel your eyes and hands all over my body. If you still want more, all you gotta do is ask, and I'll give you more." He gave me a lazy smile. "Shut up," I laughed. "How do you still have the energy for more?" Is he trying to kill me? I might heal quickly, but I don't think I have the energy to continue. It's you, and I'm always going to be attracted to you, so... He trailed off with a smile. I know he is fatally attracted to me. I see the evidence each time. Last night was no exception. "Get up. We have a lot of things to do. We have a daughter we need to check on," I said, finally getting up. "And you haven't filled me in on what happened when you went to find Damon." I would," he said. "But speaking of our daughter, do you want to have more kids? We could start now." He wiggled his brows at me. "Yes," I answered, shocking him to stand up. "I do want more kids. Honestly, I'm a little jealous Madison is pregnant. I'll always take Adriana as my daughter, and I'll never do to her what the powers did to me, but I do want more kids. But not now. Maybe in a year or two." "I can wait for a year. It's really not that far when you think about it," he said excitedly. "Plus, it'll give me time to do what I need to do. I have a surprise for us." "What's that?" I asked curiously. "It's a surprise," he said, and kissed my lips before getting up completely. "Come on, get up. You're the one who said we have a lot of things to do." I obliged, but he knew I wouldn't be able to keep the thought of his secret surprise from my head. We had our bath together, and neither one of us could keep our hands to ourselves. So, bath time took longer than necessary, but it was definitely worth it. After bathing, we both went to see our daughter. She was definitely excited to see her father back. He gave her this really nice wooden carving of his wolf, and told her that even if he wasn't always going to be there with her physically, he wanted her to know that he would always be there for her and with her if she needed him. Although Adriana didn't understand the deep meaning of what he said, she was so happy about his promise that she burst into tears and hugged him tightly. We had a peaceful lunch together afterwards. When we finished, we went to look for Celine. Jason said he had some questions to ask her. She wasn't in the pack, but according to the other caretakers, they said she didn't go far, that she had to go check on something. "Did you find the pack work hard?" he asked as we stepped into his office. "A little, but I had help from Madison, Lila, and even Cole too. He made sure to always check on me when he comes back from the office. He postponed his moving until you were all back. I'm guessing he felt bad he couldn't help you guys out," I said with a small smile. "Want to fill me in now?" I asked. "Where do I start?" he asked. I met Damon, and honestly, he was more sad than scared. He already even made peace with his death if it ever came. We fought, and he was hard to kill, but I won eventually, and we found Josh's dad. His last sentence is what shocks me the most. Josh's dad was still alive? My dad's best friend was still alive, the same man who saved mine and Josh's lives. I wonder if my parents also knew about that. If they don't, I have to go back and tell them. I'm sure they would like to know. "Why didn't you tell me about this yesterday?" I asked. "It didn't really come to me yesterday. I just want to be with you," he replied. "I was with you, inside you, all night long." He wiggled his brows again. "God, he's right. I let him distract me last night." "Jason, I knew we were alone, but I still looked around to be sure. Anyone could hear you. It's not something they haven't heard or done before," he shrugged. "I can even bet we weren't the only ones doing it last night," he said smugly. "Still," I said, "what do you think Luke and Madison were doing? Or even Carlton, who literally announced his activity before we separated last night?" I didn't need to know that information. I won't be able to look them in the eye for a while. "Jason," I said shyly, "I don't need to know everyone's business. I just don't need them knowing about ours," I explained. "Okay, One more thing. How do you feel about ruling your parents' old castle? He asked. All signs of earlier playfulness gone. I've never really thought about going to look for my parents' old castle. Talk more of taking over. The place doesn't exactly hold good memories. I didn't grow up there, so I have no attachment to the place, I said. Why do you suddenly ask? Do you wish to rule my parents' old castle? I asked in confusion. Not exactly, he answered. I'm not trying to alarm you or anything, but there are a bunch of people on their way right now to our pack. They are coming to convince us to take the throne. I merely told them you wouldn't want to rule a castle stained with blood, but it's entirely your choice if you wish to rule. I thought about his words for a minute. He wasn't wrong. I wouldn't have wanted to rule that castle, and I appreciated him giving me the choice to decide if I wanted to take the throne or not. Was that why you were looking for Celine? Yes, he nodded. They said she already informed them of my coming, and they said something about serving the throne. Since I took down Damon, and I'm your mate, they asked us to take over, so I'd like to know if she also wants us to take over. Maybe we should take over. If she does, would you like to rule with me? Aries Pav. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to rule, but I wanted to know if he would do it with me. He looked at me and smiled, and I knew his answers before he even said them. I would do anything for you. He stepped closer to me. If ruling is what you want, then I'll do it with you. It will be hard, but I'm sure we will manage. I knew at that moment that I couldn't have asked for a better mate. I love you, I whispered. That was all I could say. I summarized all of my emotions into those words. His mouth stretched in a smile before he replied. I love you. He kissed me deeply, and I felt all of his love for me. We only broke apart when we heard the report from the guards on duty at the pack's border. They have gotten used to reporting things to me since I became in charge. Luna, Alpha, he greeted first. There are some old people here, claiming Alpha extended the invite for them to come. One of the guys said. It's the people I was telling you about, he said out loud. Let them in, I said to him. We made our way to the pack house entrance and waited for their car. I was a little scared to meet people that knew my parents when they were alive and even worked as their sounding board. Speaking, I had to go and see Josh's father later. I have a lot to ask him, but most of all, I wish to say thank you. As the cars slowly pulled up. 4 people alighted from each car. 6 looked older than 2, which leads me to believe those 2 are just their drivers, who might be family members or at least pack members. Hello, we meet again. One of the older-looking men said to my mate. He was polite, almost too polite, which was weird. I wonder what must have spurned the attitude. I know exactly just what Jason can do when he's provoked. Yes, hello, Jason replied. I see you made it here just fine, he said. Yes, we did, he smiled. I hope you don't mind, but we would like to meet the princess first before anything. Although he said it in an apologetical manner, it sounded more like a demand. You are looking at her, he smiled in my direction. Meet my mate, Aries. Your Highness, they all yelled. The shout must have alerted everyone as people slowly came outside. They looked at the crowd in surprise, and then at Jason and I. Hi, I smiled in their direction. It's nice to meet you all. Why don't we go inside and talk? I'm sure you have a lot to say. They nodded, and we led them to our office. It was big enough to fit us all in, all of us except their designated driver. Your Highness, you are all grown up now. The last time we saw you, you were still a baby. We saw you all but twice before you were ripped away from your parents, one of them said. Bless their souls. We still feel their loss till now. Thank you. I barely know who you all are, but Athena and the Moon Goddess are certain you all pose no threat to us, I said. And my mate claims you have something to say to us. Why don't you let me hear it? Oh, yes, he replied. We were telling him about how he and you are the true heirs to the throne, not just because you are the true princess, and he's your mate, but also because your mate defeated Damon, which makes you the new ruler. Ergo, your parents' castle now belongs to you both. Why, that sounds wonderful. We already have a pack to rule, I pointed out. I just realized Jason was letting me do all the talking. He fully trusts whatever decision I make. If you wish us to rule, it will have to be on our terms. What are the terms exactly? One of them asked. If, and I mean if we are to take over the throne, we will do it from here. I raised up my finger to halt their upcoming protest and continued. The castle does not exactly hold great memories in its walls, so if we wish to rule, we will do it from our place of choice. If you don't agree, then perhaps you have come all the way here for nothing." They looked amongst themselves and contemplated their choice. After a moment of silence, they finally made their decision. "Okay, how do you propose to make that work?" "We will make it work," I replied. "But since we know next to nothing about ruling, we will be needing a lot of your guidance." I knew I could ask for the moon goddess help, or even ask her to take me to my parents, who had first-hand experience ruling, but I wished to give them a chance to help first. "And we will be willing to offer our assistance," he said with a little bow. "We live to serve the throne. We are all at your service." They all nodded at that. "Thank you," I replied. "Accommodations will be prepared for you if you wish to stay, while we are still deliberating taking the throne. Our pack will be open to all of you," I said to them. Jason nodded in agreement. Shortly after, we watched them leave. Jason took the liberty of assigning some people to help them get settled in while I contacted Josh. "Hi, Josh," I said into the pack link. "Hey, Princess," he replied. "It's been a while. I'm guessing you have heard the news. I was waiting for you to ask for me." "Yes, congratulations," I said, "but if it's no bother, I was hoping I could talk to him today." "Yeah, I've been thinking you would, and so has he," he replied. "He's been wanting to see you since he got his strength back. Now would be a good time if you want to meet him," he suggested. "Okay, we are on our way," I said. Jason and I made our way to his home in the pack. It was within walking distance from the pack house. We were ushered in as soon as we knocked. I could see Josh, his mate, Haley, and an older-looking version of Josh. "My world," the man said, getting up. "I never knew I'll see you again in this lifetime." "Aries Pav." "Hello, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've wanted to thank you for saving my life since I heard you were still alive, but I heard you needed time to recover after the ordeal you went through," I said slowly. "I need no time to recover. I only wish to see you," he said. "You look just like your mother. It's wonderful to see again after so many years, really." "It's all thanks to you," I said. "If I may ask, what really happened that night after you left?" When I had asked Mum, she had told me she never saw him return. I remember it just like it was yesterday," he started. "The kingdom stood on the precipice of destruction, its once glorious walls now marred by the scars of war. After leaving you both behind, I went to look for your parents. I held my sword tightly, slaying anything that came my way. The clash of steel against steel echoed about the walls. I could hear snarling and growling in the distance as the others fought in their true form. We all listened in the room with rapt attention. No one had really heard the first-hand story, and we were all eager to know how it had truly gone down. I had sworn an oath to protect your parents, you, and the kingdom with my life, and I had every intention of upholding that vow until my dying breath," he said. His spine straightened as he continued. "The enemy, led by Damon, had launched a relentless assault on the kingdom, seeking to claim it as his own, while ensuring to destroy every hope of an uprising. As the battle raged on, I fought with unmatched ferocity, my loyalty unwavering even in the face of overwhelming odds," he said with this faraway look in his eyes. "Not long after your father's last howl, your mother followed shortly after. That night, I lost both my best friends." The room was covered with a solemn atmosphere at his words. But victory remained elusive, and the tide of battle turned against us. Your parents' death shook everyone. We all felt their loss, and Damon took that as an opportunity to surge forward, overwhelming the remaining castle defenders with sheer numbers and brute strength. "I thought I could lead the remaining ones to face Damon, but fate had other plans," he said sadly. As I raised his sword to face our adversaries, a shadow fell over me, and the next thing I felt was a sharp blow to the back of my head. Darkness enveloped me. "Was that how you got locked up?" I asked in a quiet voice. He nodded his head and continued. "When I woke up, I found myself shackled and bound, my surroundings cloaked in darkness. The stench of blood and decay filled the air, and the chilling howl of a wolf echoed in the distance," he said. I looked around in panic, trying to make sense of what had happened. Eventually, I finally realized the truth. I had been captured by Damon, the very creature I had sworn to kill to avenge your parents. I thought I would have died in battle. I had made peace with death, but I didn't think he'd capture me. I'm so sorry, I said sadly. It's not your fault, child. I was simply playing my role. He offered me a small smile. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and I was in captivity. Damon would come around sometimes to torture and torment me, but that wasn't even the worst. It was his beta Hale that was worse. He'd torture me, then give me the hope that I could break free, or he would simply apologize for hurting me. He would tell me things like if it was up to him, he would have given me a merciful death. Josh's face hardened at the mention of the name Hale, but I felt it best not to poke on old wounds. It was only when he came to ask of you that I knew you were both alive, and only a matter of time before you came for him, he said, with a smile. He looked more like the older version of Josh as he smiled. He started coming frequently, looking for bits of information about you. The council visits became frequent. I could hear the guards gossiping about it. They would talk about how you were spotted and how long it would take until you came to collect what was rightfully yours. He already knew we were coming? I asked in surprise. Oh yes, he knew. He pretended not to be worried, but I could see it in his eyes each time he came to question me about you. Josh's dad said. He absolutely loathed the idea of you coming back to steal the throne, but I was glad to hear you were alive. In a way, I kept my promise to your mother when she entrusted me to you and went back to fight. I'm sure she will be happy to know you survived. I offered him a sad smile. Thank you, Arabella, he said. It's weird hearing him call me that. Only my dad calls me that. Even my mum calls me Ares, I nodded. But you do still need to take the throne. Order has to be restored. You have to let the people know you are alive. I know, but I can't put my family in danger, I explained. I won't do something that I know will hurt my family in the long run. Taking the throne hasn't exactly brought good fortune to anyone that sat on it. You keep forgetting something. You are not just anyone. You are Princess Arabella Ares Darius. You were always meant to rule that throne, he said proudly. This is the first time I'm hearing my full name. Not Powers, but Darius. I like it, but I like Born even better. So I corrected him. Actually, it's Ares Born now. I'm taking my mate's name, I said. I love you, Jason said into our mate bond. Sending me all of his emotions at that moment. Jason's Pav. I love you. I said to her through the mate bond. I sent her all of my feelings at that moment. First, she accepted my daughter. Now she's fully accepted me into her life. And I couldn't be more grateful. I love you, she replied, stretching her hands towards me. Focus, she reprimanded me. How can I when she just denied her surname and took mine instead? I figured you would, a new voice said from the doorway. We all looked up to find Lila walking in with a smile. But either way, you need to continue your parents' legacy. You need to get everything in order. Lila, welcome, I said with a smile. Of course she would know where we are. She must have known we were looking for her and came here straight. We have been looking for you. Lila, it's been a while. You haven't aged a day since the last time we saw each other, Josh's dad said as he got up. I'm seeing so many faces I never thought I would see again, he said with a smile. How have you been? You know each other? Ares asked in surprise. I wanted to know too. I thought only the royal had direct access to the moon goddess. How does he know who she is? Does she know who she is too? Is the royal Beta family also privy to that information? Yes, she used to visit your parents a lot when they were alive. They gave orders to always let her in if she came, he explained. We grew close the more she visited. She was friends with both your mothers when they were alive. She looked in Josh and Ares' direction. That explains things a bit. Felix, it's been a while indeed, Lila said to him. I've been good. I'm surprised to see you here. I'm glad you found your son. She smiled at Josh. Hello, Haley. I see you've met your mate's father. Me too, Josh's dad Felix replied. The last time I saw you, you said you had to change the fate of someone. Were you able to? Change the fate, I mean, Felix asked. We all turned to her in surprise. I couldn't, but it all worked out well in the end. We will have to catch up later, she said to Felix, who nodded in reply. I need to speak with Ares and Jason. She looked at us. Ares stood up and I followed after her. It was really nice to meet you, Felix, she said to him. We should catch up some other time. You too, Josh. You promised we'd hang out. Josh nodded at her while his father smiled in reply. I nodded at everyone in the room, holding my mate's hands before we all headed out his apartment. We headed straight for the pack. It was best if we talked in my office. We don't want the pack worrying about whether we are moving or not just yet. Before we begin, may I ask whose fate it was that you wanted to change? Aries asked as we all settled in the office. I'm just curious. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, she finished. I had to save so many people's fate. I did save them, but I lost your parents soon after. That was the price fate had me pay for meddling in her affairs, she explained. I didn't even know Felix was still alive. She had him hidden from me, with help from other gods. I kept checking, but I heard no news of him until I contacted the elders recently and told them you were coming. Then a few years later, I had to save Jason's parents. But I got here a little late, she said, shocking me with her words. She was on her way to save my parents. So I saved the rest and your daughter. I couldn't let you face so many losses in one day. You needed something to hold on to. I sent Adriana your way for that purpose. Thank you. I would have had a hard time holding on if it wasn't for her presence in my life, I said. I was really grateful. Although you couldn't save my parents, you still gave me something else, and I'll forever be grateful, she nodded. I was happy when I blessed your parents with you, she said with a smile. Plus you have been doing well. You deserve to be happy. You both deserve to be happy. Thank you, Aries said. The elders are already here. I wanted to speak to you without them being present, she said, steering the topic back to the matter at hand. They don't know who I am. I appear to them through dreams, and I would like to keep it that way. I understand, Aries said. So you really want us to take over? Yes. I understand that you don't want to use your parents' old castle because of the memories it holds, and I get that. But no one said you couldn't build a new castle here, she said. It might take a few months or a year to build something like that, but I think you can make it work. I know you have no plans of moving the entire pack, so this is the best solution. The pack just went through a lot. We have to announce it to them first and prepare them, I said. Then I have to get some contract builders to work on the pack. If I have to hire humans to speed up the process, then I will. Okay, but how do we get the word out that we are the new rulers? I asked. I doubt sending emails would suffice, and we decided to call for a meeting with all the alphas. They might not be able to stay in a room together without wanting to tear each other's heads off. How about when you finish building the palace, you host your mate ceremony along with a ball announcing that you are the heir, she asked. That way you are killing two birds with one stone. Okay, Aries said. I like it. Me too. In 1 year, I get Aries all to myself. We might even have a baby on the way by then. It's a win-win for everyone. In 2 months, I'll be done with renovating my parents' house for us. Let's say 1 year, I said. I looked at both of them as I said my next words. In 1 year, we will announce everything. Jason's Pav. I plan to meet with Luke later and explain things to him, I said to Aries as I got ready to go to my home office. I looked over to watch her as I finished getting ready. She looked absolutely perfect. That's fine with me, she replied, kissing my cheek. I trust all of your decisions. I smiled and gave her a deep kiss before leaving the room. I called Luke as I headed to the office. I've explained to Luke what our plan is, so today Aries and I plan to announce it to the pack. We plan to tell them the whole truth. After hanging out with our daughter, we gathered the entire pack in the hall. We waited until everyone was present, including the elders, which I had stayed at the back with Felix, Haley, and the guards on duty. Lila said it would be safe. We waited until everyone was settled in before I started addressing them. Good evening, everyone, I said to the crowd. Your Luna and I have a lot to tell you this evening. Those of you that went to fight with us against Maverick know that your Luna and I possess some powers. Murmurs rose as they to each other in confirmation. It is true, we do have powers, but it is entirely due to her that I have one too, I said to the crowd. I made a ball of flame to prove my point. Gasps of surprise and excitement came from the crowd. Everyone looked excitedly at me. I put the flames away and continued. Like I said, she's the reason why I even have powers in the first place. Your Luna, my mate, is the daughter of the late king and queen, I said. Gasps of surprise echoed about in the hall. But that's not all. A month ago, we received news that the person who killed her parents was aware that she survived. With the help of the moon goddess, we were able to resolve the issue quickly and quietly, I said, to ease the worry I could see on some of their faces. Now that all the threat has been resolved, we are required to step up and take the throne. Murmurs started as everyone contemplated if we were choosing a new Alpha and Luna for them while we went ahead to the castle. We won't be leaving the pack, I said. Sighs of relief go round as everyone takes a deep breath. That is why we agreed to bring the throne here. In the next 1 year, we will work on building a new castle here in the pack. Nothing too big or fancy, but big enough to hold meetings with other alphas if need be, and attend to duties that we might have to take care of when the time comes. I was thinking of hiring human contractors to work on building the new castle, but the last time humans came here, we saw how that went, I said solemnly. So, I'm getting help from our allies if they can spare a few men to work together with us so we can finish things in 6 months or a year at most. So if you wish to volunteer, you can. No one would be forced to do anything, I informed them. But in 1 year, when we finish building the castle, we will be hosting a ball here in the pack. I want everyone to look forward to it. Everyone cheered excitedly. Hands went up in the air as they volunteered to help. After a few more talks, we dismissed them. I had a talk with the elders. Since they heard what we said, we agreed to have them go back to their places and return every once in a while to help us get ready to take over. Since it was late, everyone headed to their rooms for the night. What do you mean by the last time humans were here it went wrong? Ares asked as we got to our room. I already knew she would. I told her about how we were attacked, but I never told her who. Do you remember when I said we were attacked? I asked instead. She nodded. We were attacked by humans. We were ambushed. Although we know it's not all humans, we still have issues trusting them to enter into our home. That's why I said that. Why didn't you tell me this before? She asked. I mean, how did they even find the pack? That wasn't supposed to happen. That has never happened before. How can Cole even stand to work with the same people that had a hand in his parents' death? I didn't want to open old wounds. I felt the details were not exactly necessary, I answered. I don't know how they found us, but they did. And as for Cole, I have a feeling that he didn't truly forgive the people that had a hand in his parents' death. He's just trying to figure why they would even do such a thing in the first place. I explained. Still, it must be tough seeing their faces every day, wondering if they had a hand in it too, she said. Maybe it's the Luna spirit in her, but she seems to be feeling more for everyone lately. Being in charge of the pack must have helped. It is, but being around them has also helped him to let go of some of the grudges he feels, I explained. Cole is strong. He can take care of himself. What we should be worrying about is ourselves. We have less than a year to change our minds. If you say the words that you don't want to do this, I'll stand with you. I'll even go against the moon goddess if you say the words. Jason, she said, a smile dancing on her lips. I love you, and I'm happy you are on my side. But we already gave our word to Lila, and we just finished announcing to the pack that we plan to take over. Hands were raised, Jason. We can't just change our minds. I can, if she wishes it. She is the reason I'm doing this in the first place. So if she decides it's not worth the stress, then I drop it. She should know by now how far I'm willing to have her stay by my side. I love you too, and I mean what I'm saying, I said to her. If you say the word, I'll call this whole thing off. Ares is Pav. I search his face for signs that he was joking, but I see none. I smiled, moved closer to him, and cupped his face in my hands. It's fine, Jason, I said. I don't think I'll be changing my mind. I smiled at him, and he leaned in to kiss my lips. We went to bed that night with clear hearts and minds. Tomorrow, we begin building against our future in a year's time. The next morning, after Jason made breakfast for Adriana and I barely saw him for the rest of the day. The pack was so busy with people going back and forth with tools and whatnot, I still went into his office to continue the pack work. Josh came around during the day to help out. We sorted out documents together and I signed documents that needed my approval on things. I have no idea how Jason has been doing it and juggling his company with Cole, but I'm just about ready to call it quits on the whole paperwork. Things went on like that for the next 2 months. I started getting used to him less and less. We'd go to bed together. He would get up before me, leave a kiss on my head, cheeks, or lips before leaving the room. Then he would go into Adriana's room and do the same before heading down to make us breakfast, and that would be the last we would see of him during the day. It wasn't his fault. Technically, it was mine, but I couldn't help missing his presence around us a little. I was beginning to think I should have taken him on his offer when he asked me if I wanted to call it quits on ruling. On the other side, words have started to go around about what was happening in our pack. Killian came around to confirm it and ended up lending us some of his guys to help us speed the process of things. Kane did the same too, but was unexpected. Was James coming to help too? It was good for Madison and I because he came along with Isabel. We caught up on each other's lives. She was spotting a fresh mate mark, and we were so happy for her. Isabel and I couldn't help telling Madison how jealous of her we were with her protruding belly. She made me want to have a baby with Jason now instead of in a year's time. James also came with some guys to volunteer. They had laid the groundwork for the mini castle they were building. Yes, mini. We decided we wanted something not too fancy. We still had a pack to take care of, and half our time will surely be spent outside of it rather than inside. One would think with all the help we were getting, Jason would appear more, but it had the opposite effect. He got even more scarce. Just when I was getting frustrated with our new normal, he finally showed up. I looked up as the door opened. His wonderful scent surrounded me as he walked in. "Hey, baby," he said as he entered the office. "Do you think you can spare a moment from what you're doing and come with me somewhere?" He offered me that dimpled smile that he knows I can't resist. "If you can spare time out of your busy schedule, I'm sure I can do the same," I said as I dropped the documents I was holding, giving him my full attention. I didn't mean to poke at him. I couldn't help it. "I know you are mad at me for disappearing, and I'm sorry, but it had to be done," he said in one breath. "I had to make sure everything was set up before things get too much that we can't focus on ourselves alone." "Where are you going with this?" I asked, confusedly. "Remember when I told you I had a surprise for you?" he asked, coming closer to take my hands. I followed his lead as he walked us to the door. "Yes, and when I asked you what it is, you said you wouldn't tell me until it's ready," I answered. "Wait, is it ready? Is that what you've been doing this whole time?" I asked guiltily. Here I was wishing he'd spend more time with me when he was actually working on something for me. For us. Am I a bad mate? "Yes, it is," he answered, making me feel even more guilty. He must have sensed my emotion from the mate bond. He stopped leading us out and came to stand in front of me. His expression was that of confusion. "Why are you feeling guilty? Did I do something? What's wrong?" His concern makes the tears I've been keeping at bay fall like waterworks. Hey, stop crying, baby." He hugged me to his chest and patted my back. "It breaks my heart to see you cry. Please stop. Tell me what's wrong." "I'll do anything to fix it. I promise," he said softly. "I thought you didn't want to spend time with me, that this whole ruling thing was taking you away from me, and it's my fault because you gave me a chance to back out and I didn't take it," I said through my tears. "And now you are telling me you were working on the surprise you promised me." I could feel his amusement at my explanation. His chest shook in suppressed laughter. He patted my back a few more times before pulling me off his chest. He took off the t-shirt he was wearing and gave it to me to blow my nose, leaving him alone in his inner shirt and trousers. "I always want to spend time with you, okay?" he said, wiping the remaining tears off my face. "I'm sorry I made it look like I didn't want to spend time with you." "I'm sorry too," I said. "I will let you know what I'm feeling next time instead of jumping to conclusions." Something I should have done before letting my thoughts run haywire. Lesson learned. "Good. So please stop crying," he said. I nodded and sniffed. "Come on. Let me show you what I've been doing." I was totally excited as we walked out of the office. He led us outside and had me close my eyes. For the next 5 minutes, he led me down a path with my eyes closed. After a while, he told me to open my eyes. What I saw in front of me had tears gathering again. Welcome to our new home, Jason's pav. As the others worked on the castle, I worked alone on the house. I had to tear down some worn-out parts and replace them. Cole helped a lot by helping me send the things I ordered down to the pack. It took a lot of time, but I was finally happy with the result. All that was left now was to show it to her. I had already moved our things and Adriana's to the house before I went to the office to get her. I walked in to find her bent over seriously looking over documents. She had taken it upon herself to take care of the pack work while we worked on the castle. Killian had been kind enough to send some people over, but knowing him, it's definitely not from the kindness of his heart. He would want something in return. Maybe not now, but I know he will. When he saw Felix, though, I saw him smile for the time. A real, genuine smile. They chatted and caught up like old friends. He looked more human that day. Kane helped too, and so did James, who got closer to me as we worked together. With how much help we are getting, we would be done with things in 6 months' time. It took a lot of time to get things fixed up. Then I had to order the furniture and decorations for the house. I set up our rooms and our daughters. I even decorated other rooms for when we have more children. I made sure ours was soundproof. I would hate to have my kids hearing things they shouldn't be hearing. "Hey, baby," I said as I entered the office. "Do you think you can spare a moment from what you are doing and come with me somewhere?" I couldn't help smiling at her. She just looks so beautiful. For the next few minutes, we go through her emotions. This is the first time she's ever cried in front of me, and it was my fault. I don't want to ever see her cry again. I can't believe she thought I didn't want to spend time with her because of how busy I've been. I thought she understood why. She assumed it was her fault instead. We agreed to talk things out next time, instead of jumping into conclusions. I had her close her eyes as I led her to the house. Her reaction when she saw the house was something that made me glad I did it. This time, it was happy tears. She jumped into my arms and hugged me tightly. "Do you like it?" I asked, placing her back on her feet. "I don't like it. I love it," she said. "Thank you." She leaned in to kiss me, letting me feel everything she felt at that moment. "Come on, check it out," I said. I picked her up and walked past the threshold. It's a human thing, but it felt nice to do that, carrying her into our new home. She went round looking at each room. She spent extra time in the playroom I designed for the kids. She loved everything. She checked out our room and saw that I had already had our things moved in. When she turned around to face me, I was already on my knees with a box ring open. "Aries Arabella Darius Powers. I know this is not common given the species that we are, but I'd like nothing more than for you to marry me and make me the happiest man on earth," I said, nervously. "Will you marry me?" "Yes," she said with a smile and more happy tears. I took the ring out of the box and placed it on her ring finger. "I already took your name, but I appreciate you making it official. I love you so much." "I love you more," I said, pulling her to me and sealing our engagement with a kiss. My hands cupped her jaws and pulled her closer before it traveled down to her waist. Her hands reached for my clothes and I let her pull it off. I reached for hers too and took them off. We only break our kiss for a moment. I lifted her up and she wrapped her legs around my waist. I walked us to the bed and placed her on it gently. She reached for my belt and took my trousers off. I take off hers too, leaving her in nothing but her undergarments. I kissed down her body slowly. She moaned slowly. Her body responded to my touch. I reached down her pants and parted her folds. Her warmth welcomed me. I entered one finger first. She greedily swallowed it with her cunt. "More," she whispered. I added in another finger, and her back arched off the bed. I stroked her while fondling her breasts. She came soon after. I took off the remaining garments on her body. I entered her slowly. Her body perfectly molded with mine. They were made for each other. We made love. It was slow and sensual, and we savored every moment of it. She sang my name like a siren as we made love. We christened the room 4 times before we finally fell asleep exhausted. We had Adriana brought to the after we relaxed. We spent our first night as a family in the house. The next day, we went back to our separate duties, but not before I spent time with my girls. Adriana loved her room, and when we told her we were getting married, she was so happy. We asked for 2 months off from the training and other things to set up things. They already sent a message that they would be coming here this month and would officially move into the pack before the crowning ceremony. Felix also took permission to go back and get some things from the castle. He was finally cleared for his health. I told him he could leave whenever, that this was his home as much as it was mine. And seeing that he was the closest thing to family that Aries had, that makes him family to me too. He said they had buried some things for Aries if she ever found her back there, and it's only right he gave them to her now. Everything was coming well. In 3 months, the castle would be set and ready, and we would be hosting a ball. Good news came before we finished all of our preparations. Jason's POV. The next few months were a blur. I gave permission to have other packs in ours. Other packs had volunteered to help. The news had gone round. If they were skeptical about having us rule, they did a good job of hiding it. Felix came back the same time those elders did. He told us we could open the things he brought back after the coronation. He was purposefully leaving us in suspense. Every 2 weeks, Aries and I were required to take classes with the elders concerning the throne. In less than a month, we would be done with building the castle. The first good news we received was that Madison, my mate's best friend, was in labor. Isabel and Cole came down to the pack so they could be witnesses to the birth. Luke was on tenterhooks about it. He nearly brought down the pack hospital with his pacing and yelling. After an hour of hearing Madison yelling from behind the door, she finally gave birth to twins. A boy and a girl just like her and Cole. We all assumed it would be twins. Everyone congratulated them happily. I caught Aries looking at them longingly on more than one occasion. It led her to initiate sex with me almost every day, which I'm not complaining about. She claims she just wants me, but I know she has the baby fever. She wants us to have one of ours too. And a few weeks later, after her 19th birthday, we got one. How we found out was a roller coaster of emotion. "Aries, are you okay?" I asked, holding her hair up as she puked into the toilet bowl at 3 a.m. I sort of panicked, 'cause werewolves don't really get sick, unless there was an external factor like wolfsbane causing it. "Yeah," she nodded her head gently. "I'm fine. Must be because I ate late last night. I'm sure it's nothing serious," she said with difficulty before leaning over the toilet bowl and puking again. I had my suspicions, but I didn't want to jump into conclusions. "Come on, let's get you to the clinic," I said, picking her up. "Don't say you are fine. It's obvious you are not." After getting her to the car, I went back in and picked Adriana, along with Mr. Bear. I was going to drop her off at Josh's. She seemed to have grown attached to Felix. I couldn't bear to let her wake up to an empty house. I dropped her off first before heading to the clinic with Aries, who was still puking into a paper bag. Maybe it really was food poisoning. I could already feel the disappointment coming. I carried her into the clinic and called for Dr. Sean. He's always on duty. He practically lives in the clinic. "Check her. There's something wrong. She said it was something she ate. She's been puking since," I explained to the doctor. "What's wrong with her?" I asked worriedly. She looked pale. Maybe it was because of the puking. He nodded and moved closer to her. He made a move to open her eyes, and I stepped closer to him instinctively. He paused his movements and explained what he wanted to do to her in detail. "I just need to check something. I'll also need her blood to conduct a test," he said. He moved closer to her. "I need to confirm my suspicion. He sedated her after I broke one finger when he tried injecting her the first time. I had no idea I was doing it. I just did." He explained that it would help with nausea. After a while, he finally sedated her and took her blood. "How long have you been like this?" he asked me. "Like what?" I asked. I wasn't sure I understood what he was trying to say. I sat by her bedside as I waited for his reply. "Hovering over her like you are doing now," he explained. I thought about his question for a minute before answering. "I think last week," I said. She said she felt dizzy. I thought it was because she was doing too much, so I had her drop some things and it stopped. "But what about it?" I asked. I hovered because I was worried. She was obviously exhausted. She'd go from running the pack to helping her friend out with the twins so she could rest, spending time with Adriana, and still initiating sex with me. It was too much for her. "Okay, I think I know why," he said. "I need to confirm first, though." "Do you mean I trailed off. We had false hopes too last month. When she said she might be because she was sleeping infrequently, I drove into town to get those human test kits and the result was negative. She felt down for days before getting herself. I need to be sure, he said. I nodded and he walked off with the blood. I sat by her for an hour before he came back with the results. My suspicion was right, he said with a smile. Congratulations, Alpha. You are both expecting a baby. My cheeks expanded to the point of hurting. I smiled so hard and leaned down to kiss my sleeping mate. I kissed all over her face. Thank you, I said. He nodded and left. I was too excited to sleep even after he left. I sat watching Aries until she woke up. Although the world was moving, at that moment when she opened her eyes, it was like it stopped for a while. Hey, beautiful, I said, stroking her face. I couldn't help smiling at her. Hey, she said tiredly. Did they say what's wrong with me? She asked as she tried sitting up. I rushed to help her with a smile. I kissed her cheeks after ensuring she was properly seated. Yes, I answered with a smile. Well, what is it? She asked. It's food poisoning, right? She asked again when I didn't answer immediately. Her mind was already running wild, so I had to put her out of her misery and set her thoughts straight. We are having a baby. Aries is Pav. Wait, what? I must have misheard him. There's no way he said I'm pregnant. His face falls at my question. You don't want it? He asked. I could see the hurt on his face. I didn't mean to cause that. Oh my God, I'm really pregnant. I'm pregnant, I said this time with a smile. We are having a baby. He nodded, but was still reluctant to smile. My earlier reaction must still be rubbing him the wrong way. Do you want this baby with me? He asked again. I could tell from the mate bond that he was a little hesitant to hear my answer. I know you said you wanted to wait for a year or two first. Of course I want this baby with you, I said, smiling. I just can't believe I'm really pregnant. I was trying so hard. I didn't want to put my hopes up. I saw your reaction and even felt your emotions when we did the test last time, I explained to him. We are having a baby, he said this time with a smile. I moved closer to him and he pulled me into his chest. We are having a baby, I said into his chest. We stayed for a few more tests to ensure everything was fine before we were allowed to leave. We picked up Adriana on the way back home. On the ride over, we had to think of ways to break the news to her. I wasn't sure how she was going to take it. I don't want her to feel like I did when things went south with the powers. Adriana, Jason said to our daughter after we were done eating, in case she throws a tantrum, at least it would be with a full stomach. Sit down, Bean, we have something to tell you. She looked at both our faces and I nodded at her. She sat back down on her high chair. Bean, we have some news to share with you, her father said. He was a little hesitant on what to say, so she read her own meaning into his looks. You don't want me to be the flower girl anymore? She asked near tears. We had told her that she could spray the flowers during the mate ceremony we were planning to hold in 2 weeks before the ball. No, it's not that, sweetheart, I said with a small smile. How would you like to be a big sister? I asked with a smile. Like Justin and Josette? She asked. Justin and Josette are Madison's kids. Madison said she could be their big sister. She was so happy, so I nodded. Yes, like that. Your daddy and I are having a baby. I'm going to be a big sister again? She asked. We nodded and a smile graced her face. Yay! She started clapping happily. She got down and ran around the house happily. After a while, Jason dropped her off at the pack house to play with her peers. I was on house arrest until he deemed it safe to leave the house. Barely an hour later, pack members started dropping by at the house to congratulate us. Apparently, Adriana couldn't contain her joy and ended up announcing it to anyone who cared enough to listen. Jason hovered over me like some sort of bodyguard. No one was allowed to come too close. He gave himself some days off also. His excuse was that he had to watch me to ensure I was all right. By nightfall, the entire pack all knew I was pregnant, and they didn't fail to express their joy. Felix, Lila, Josh, Carlton, and Mason dropped by to congratulate me. Felix and Lila brought gifts. I'm happy for you, child, Lila said. I'm sure your parents would be happy to hear this news. Here, this is for you. She handed me the gift she brought. Thank you, I said. I figured this was a safer choice of gift for you, the baby in the pack. She waved off my thanks. We wouldn't want a repeat of what happened to you. We've all learned our lesson." I laughed at that. A few more pack members came over too. Even Madison and Luke dropped by. She told me how happy she was for me. She saw how I looked at her babies each time I came to help her babysit. I didn't think it was that obvious. In the blink of an eye, 2 weeks went by, and it was time for our mate ceremony. The castle was almost done. All that was left was just some finishing touches like furniture and some decorations. The elders had also made their way here permanently, which meant we had to start sending out invites from now. But first, our mate ceremony. We had asked Felix to perform the mate rites for us. Everyone was gathered in the hall. We decided to have an intimate gathering between the pack. Only pack members were invited, including Cole. They had done the mate rites the day before. All that was left was just their vows. Everyone cheered for Adriana as she sprayed the flowers. Shortly after, Aries walked in. "We are all here to witness the mating ceremony between our Alpha and Luna," Felix said. Everyone listened with rapt attention. Although it's a little late, we know the circumstances couldn't be helped. We watched them pass the trials yesterday. The moon goddess has already agreed to this union, and that is why we are here today," he continued. "So without further ado, the vows. Do you, Luna Aries Arabella Darius Powers born, take this man and his pack as your own, promise to serve the pack to the best of your ability, to hold down the forte when things go awry, to be the sounding board to your mate and the pack?" "Yes, I do," I answered. Someone whistled excitedly from the crowd, and everyone cheered. "Do you, Jason Von Born, take this woman as your mate, promise to serve the pack to the best of your ability, to be your mate's best friend, the voice of reason and shield when things go awry?" he asked. "Yes, I do," Jason answered and sent a wink my way. "Congratulations, Alpha Jason and Luna Aries," he said. "How do humans say it? You may now kiss the bride?" Everyone cheered as Jason pulled me closer and claimed my lips in his. He kissed me like no one was watching. He didn't stop until I moaned into the kiss. Everyone whistled and cheered. The party went on into the night. Everyone was too hyper to sleep. We left the party before they all left. I was already exhausted from being on my feet the entire day. I can't believe it's been a year and some months since I met Jason. From tomorrow, we will begin sending out invites to the ball, Jason's Pav. The mate ceremony yesterday was so beautiful. Watching Aries walk down the aisle to me was the most beautiful sight ever. She shined. Everything about her was glowing. She wants us to hold the ball along with our coronation at the same time before her belly starts to show. After spending half the day with me, she sent me off to go and start working on the invites. She offered to help, but I'd rather not stress her out. Plus, I knew more alphas than she does. It would be easier for me to get the word out. I had Luke help out on sending the invites to other alphas and lunas. They were allowed to come with their betas if they wanted, but no more than 2 extra guests. We sent the invite to over 20 alphas and their lunas, including Alpha Killian and Kane, who had been of great help to us these past few months. The invitation was for them to attend the grand ball and our coronation too in the next 2 weeks. The event would also serve as a way of announcing Aries as the late king and queen's daughter, and also announcing that we have taken out Damon and weren't above taking out anyone who decides to pose as a threat to us. We also plan to use it as a way to form alliances between us and other packs. That way there will be peace. It took 2 days to send out all the invitations. We all worked tirelessly and added the finishing touches to the castle. Decorating and preparing for the coronation, the pack was bustling with energy at the prospect of the party and feast we were about to have. Days flew by fast, and soon it was the day of the ball. Everyone was excited. The pack were all dressed up and joyful as they waited for the ball to begin. The ball would begin by 6 this evening, and it's 3 o'clock right now. By 4, Aries was dressed and ready, and so was I. The gown she chose was an off-shoulder gown that was tight at the top and loose from below the best region to the feet. It gave her enough space to move about without feeling any sort of discomfort, and it worked well on hiding her hump that was beginning to show. She had chosen a low heel to make her more comfortable. She looked absolutely breathtaking. As the time got closer, she got more nervous. By 5:50, she started pacing. Her footsteps echoed with every step she took. I stood behind her and tried calming her down. My alarm beeped at that moment. "It's time, beautiful," I said to her softly. "It's time to finally do this." She stopped pacing and nodded her head at me. Her eyes were fixed on the ornaments decorating the hall. After months of preparing for this day, the time has finally come. "Do you think we are ready for this?" she asked. I walked closer to her. "What if it backfires?" I took her hands in mine and comforted her. "We are absolutely ready for this," I said. "And if it does backfire, trust that I'll take care of things." She nodded with a smile. I leaned in and kissed her forehead. I had already opened the gift Felix brought back for Aries this morning. It was her parents' crowns. Apparently the one Damon was using was a fake. Her parents really thought ahead. I've had it cleaned and properly kept. We made our way to the ballroom. We could already hear the sound of guests associating and soft music in the background. Smell of spices filled the air as the people ate and drank together. The atmosphere was that of a joyous one. Alphas and Lunas from far and wide were gathered in the hall, exchanging greetings and sharing tales of adventure. We stayed hidden as we watched them interact with each other. A few more minutes passed before we made our appearance. All heads turned in our direction as they sensed our presence. Aries' gown seemed to shine under the lights. I was a mere accessory compared to her. Single alphas and beta looked at my mate in jealousy, and my chest swelled with pride. She was all mine. "Welcome, esteemed guests," Aries said. Athena must have added her aura to hers. She exuded a regal authority. The music died down as they listened to her. "Tonight, we have gathered you here not only to celebrate our coronation, but also to announce two things. 1, I am the daughter of the late King Zalaver and Queen Eva. 2, we have taken out the usurper Damon." The crowd released a low gasp of surprise at that. "It should also serve as a warning that we are not pushovers," she said. I even caught most of the alphas and lunas lowering their heads in submission at the powerful aura she was releasing. "We are not forgiving people," I added. "As much as this is a celebration, it should also serve as a warning. I'm sure words about us and what we have done must have gone around." Murmurs of agreement rose, and a few heads bobbed in agreement. Good, they understood the picture I'm painting for them. "Everyone, my mate, Princess Aries born." My words were met with applause from the guests and cheers from the pack. The sound echoed in the hall like thunder. A few minutes later, Lila came to perform the coronation for us. Everyone present watched with bated breaths as she called us forward. Our gazes swept past everyone present before turning our attention back to Lila. If only they all knew we were about to be coronated by the moon goddess herself. "Today we gather here to bear witness to the crowning of a new monarch," she said softly, but everyone couldn't help listening attentively. Her voice was clear and ethereal. "A monarch who will lead our people with wisdom and compassion, and uphold the values that have guided us through the ages." Her words were met with nods of approval and murmurs of agreement. Lila took a deep breath and led us to the throne. Aries and I took our places in front of the throne. One of the elders stepped forward with the crowns. The crowd held their breaths in anticipation. Lila received each crown and placed them on our heads. The crowns caught in the light and glowed. The crowd cheered and applauded. The pack's cheers rang the loudest. When the hall settled into a semi-decorum state, Lila spoke her next words with a smile on her face. "Long live Queen Aries and King Jason." Aries Pav. All alphas and lunas present erupted into cheers and applause as we were crowned. The pack members cheered the loudest. "Long live Queen Aries and King Jason," the crowd repeated. Even if they weren't happy or were uncertain about what the future held for them with Jason and I ruling, they still had to cheer. We sat on the throne for a while before making our way to speak to some familiar faces. "Your Majesty, may I have this dance?" A voice sounded beside me, interrupting my discussion with James. James offered me a small smile and excused himself, leaving to go find Isabel, who was probably in the pack house with Madison and the twins. I turned to see Alpha Killian, an alpha of a neighboring pack and somewhat ally. He had this mischievous look in his eyes as he stretched his hands towards me. I accepted it with a smile. I had an image to maintain now. I caught Jason's eye as Alpha Killian, and I made our way to the center of the room. He led me into a graceful waltz, something I thought he was incapable of. Being graceful, I mean, not the waltz. I see you have grown into yourself compared to the last time I saw you, he said, and twirled me before bringing me closer again. You have this strength, this glow, and confidence that you seem to be exuding effortlessly. It's beautiful, definitely more becoming of a queen. The situation around me called for it, I replied. No excess explanations whatsoever. You are definitely destined to do great things, he said. You and that mate of yours. Greater things than your parents ever did. I offered him a small smile. Soon after, we ended our dance. Another alpha, an unfamiliar one, approached me this time and asked for a dance. I obliged. He spared no effort flattering me. I grew tired of it and cut our dance short, only to be roped into one. I ended up dancing with 3 more alphas before I left the dance floor. I turned at some point to find Jason chatting with other Lunas. They looked at him with respect and admiration. I would have believed they were falling for my man with how they are smiling all dew eyes at him had I not seen them with their mates earlier tonight. Whatever it was that they were discussing seemed to have all their attention. Eventually, he came to rescue me when another alpha asked for a dance. My feet were starting to hurt, and all the spinning was beginning to make me nauseous. He led me past the guests, who looked at us enviously and respectfully. As the night went on, the ballroom came alive with sounds of laughter spilling out every now and then. More people made their way to the dance floor. Jason and I watched as alphas connected and buried old hatchets and others made new allies. This is definitely a future I'd like for us. The guests soon took the party outside. The moon was at its peak. Some of the guests shifted and went around in their natural form. Our pack opened their hearts to the guests. Alphas played dangerous games with each other. Do you still feel like you are not ready for this? Jason asked as we watched our guests mingle. I turned to face him, and he did the same. No, I answered. Do you? As long as you are by my side, I think I can do anything, he replied. We have a lot more to protect now. He pulled me closer and rubbed the side of my slowly protruding belly. I'll be damned if I let anything happen to you, our pack, and our little family. I leaned in and kissed his lips, totally forgetting that we have company. The cheers and whistles make us break apart. Normally, I would hide my face away in embarrassment, but I'm a queen now, and queens certainly don't lower their heads, not even when they are shy or embarrassed. So I faced the crowd with a smile. We already informed them they were welcome to pass the night at our pack, which made the festivity even louder. Does this mean I can longer call you princess? Josh asked with a smile as he walked toward us. I really like that nickname. Queen has a nice ring too, but it's just not as good as princess. You can always call me princess, only you can. You can call it Josh Privilege, I said with a smile. Hey, Josh. We hugged for a while and only let go when Jason said, not too tight. Okay, that's enough. You have to get used to sharing her. King Jason, Josh said to him after we pulled apart. She's no longer just yours anymore. I can bet you will even need my help in the following months, and I'll remind you of moments like this before I help. I laughed at the look on Jason's face at Josh's words. But until then, she's still mine alone, Jason replied. Right, beautiful? I smiled and nodded. We talked for a little while before announcing to the guest that we were turning in for the night. Half of them didn't even bother to listen, too caught up in whatever fun they were having. I fell asleep shortly after returning to our room with Jason massaging my feet. When I woke up in the wee hours of the morning, I was cuddled safely into his side. I slipped away to check on Adriana. By the time I made my way back to our room, he was already awake. I already checked on her earlier, he said, and helped me back to the bed. You need more rest. He's told me these words a lot over the last few months, but it's become a habit now. I feel like if I don't check on her, I won't be able to sleep properly. I checked on her for my own peace of mind, I said. He shook his head and pulled me closer, whispering sweet nothings into my ear, and I fell asleep soon after. By the time I get up the next day, Jason informed me he had already sent the rest of our guests off. Good thing we had the ball before my pregnancy started to show. Now I could care for my pregnancy without worrying about who might know or who has bad intentions against my baby. It's about to be a rough couple of months for us. Aries is Pav. The next months were a blur. My belly got bigger. Adriana turned 5. We got even closer. She's so excited for the baby. She even promised to give all of her toys to the baby. Bless her pure soul. Lila told me she's informed my parents of my pregnancy and they sent their wishes. She, Felix, and the elders have been guiding Jason through the whole ruling thing. He started holding meetings with other alphas once every 2 months. They knew I was pregnant now. No big shirt could hide it. They all gave their blessings, but one can never be too careful. I was spending my afternoon with Adriana when my water broke. "Jason, get home now," I said to the mate link. I rubbed my stomach and tried to breathe through the contraptions. "What's wrong?" he asked worriedly. "The baby," I said, taking deep breaths. "He's coming. Get here fast, please." He got to the house in record time. I could see the sweat dripping off his head as he went on to take the things he needed. Adriana helped him out. She acted like a big girl, even though her hands were shaking as she watched me squeeze my eyes in pain. We made our way to the PAX hospital. Adriana insisted on waiting with Jason outside the ward. For the next 1 hour, I bore through pain as I brought my baby to the world. Ethan Zaliver born, named after both our fathers. It felt right. Jason and Adriana walked into the ward to see me holding him. My mate wiped a little tear from his eyes when he saw our baby. "Hey, buddy." "Meet your baby brother, Adriana," I said to Adriana. "Hello," she replied and held his little hand. Ethan opened his eyes and cooed at Adriana. She giggled happily, and I could swear I saw him smile at her. He had Jason's eyes and dimples. All our friends came over to congratulate us when we got back home. Then the pack members came. Our house was open to all. Little by little, our son grew and became a mischievous little child. Later, we had another child, Lily Eva born. She looks just like my mum. I wish I could show them to my parents, but it wasn't possible. Carlton had found his mate too a few years after our coronation. We had sent him to solve some dispute in a pack when he found her. She was a warrior just like him. They complemented each other. A month after Lily was born, the Powers came to our pack. My parents asked for my forgiveness again, and I forgave them. I let them get to know my kids, and they spared no effort spoiling them rotten. Ashley came along too and asked me to forgive her. Jason had told me about how she apologized during our rough time with Maverick and how he told her to ask for my forgiveness when I was awake. I didn't think she would. We used to be close once, so it came as a shock to me when we suddenly grew estranged. I forgave her, and I was happy to hear about how she fell in love with someone else. Someone that treated her right and genuinely loved her. 10 years later, Jason drove us to the place where we had our first picnic. The kids bickering at the back. Adriana was quieter now. She'd caution Ethan and Lily anytime they made too much noise. It was nice watching them argue. Despite how busy we became since we started ruling, we decided to have a family day once every week. Sometimes we'd go into the main town, other times we'd hang around in the house or around the pack. "Bean, watch your siblings while I set this up with your mum," Jason said. "Okay, Dad." Jason and I went on to set up the picnic while watching our kids play on the side. When we were ready, we all sat and ate and talked about everything and nothing. Adriana was turning 18 soon, and she was nervous about shifting. I've talked her through it and assured her I would be with her when it starts. We grew closer over the years. We were more like best friends than mother and daughter. Sometimes my kids even envy how much time I spend with her compared to them. Lily was more daddy's girl, like Adriana used to be before she switched sides. Ethan was closest with Adriana since the day she held hands at that ward. If he wasn't with her, he'd be with his dad, or Uncle Josh, or Grandpa Felix, or with Carlton, who encourages his thirst for mayhem, or he would be with Justin, Madison's son. We watched our kids play about after eating with a smile on our faces. There is nothing I would change if it would lead us to this moment of our lives again. "It's hard to believe how far we've come," I said. I watched Adriana chase her siblings. It feels just like yesterday when we met, and now all this time has passed. I turned to Jason. He nodded his head with a smile on his lips. "Yes, beautiful," he replied. He turned to our kids and back to me. I watched his eyes soften. "We built a beautiful life together. You still look as beautiful as the day I first saw you. You've given me a life I wouldn't trade for anything in the world." We've faced our fair share of challenges and always managed to emerge stronger. I couldn't have asked for a better partner, he whispered the last part and leaned in to kiss me. Till date, his kisses still gave me butterflies. We watched our kids play. They bond unlike any other. My little family is all I can ever ask for. It's moments like these that makes it all worth it, Jason said. He wrapped his hands around my waist and pulled me closer. All the struggles we've faced, all the battles we've fought, they've led us here, to this moment, surrounded by the ones we love most in the world. I'm glad I got to be your family, I said. I'm glad to be your family. He leaned in and gave a deep kiss that we only ended when we started protesting. Jason made funny faces at them and started chasing them. Their laughter was like a balm to my soul. I watched as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the forest. The kids had gone back to eat the fruits while discussing happily with their dad. I know that our journey was far from over, but with Jason by my side and our children by our side, I was ready to face whatever the future held for us. Aries Pav. Everything was going great. I couldn't have been happier. Maybe I celebrated too soon. I should have known something was wrong when Cole returned to the pack last week to speak to me. I played it off as nothing. I told him how the moon goddess decided to bless him with a second chance mate like she did with me. I firmly believed that was until Lila came to find me. Aries, something's wrong, Lila said. I think my sister is trying to take my place. Then if you have a sister? I asked. Yes, 2 of them. I happen to be the third, Lila replied. But that's not what's important. If my sister is trying to take over, then we have a huge problem on our hands. What do you mean? Aries asked. This was the most worry she had ever seen on the moon goddess's face. If she takes over, not only will she take over the pairing of mates, she could also destroy the mates I've paired by unpairing them, Lila said. And your parents, that. What will happen to my parents? I built the place they are staying now with my magic. If it goes away, so will they, she replied. You mean... I swallowed the lump in my throat that had somehow taken root during our conversation. Lila nodded. You might never see them again, Lila finished. I could hear my heart beating loudly from my chest at that moment. Jason must have felt my emotions from the mate bond because he came running to me the next second. He turned to Lila with accusing looks in his eyes, and I had to hold him back. There anything we can do to get them out of there before it collapses? I asked. There is one thing, but it comes with a lot of risk, and I could lose my power completely for this, she replied. But it could work. Are you sure you want to risk your powers for it? I asked. Jason looked between us with questions in his eyes. Yes, they've grown to be my friends. I am also not ready to let them go, Lila replied. I reached for her hands with tears in my eyes. What do I need to do? Right now, I just need you to prepare yourself mentally while I get the answers of what we need, she answered. Okay, I nodded. She left shortly after. Jason sat me down and waited until I calmed down enough to explain what just happened. What's wrong, Aries? Lila said I could lose my parents. Someone is trying to usurp her powers, I answered. If they succeed, the place she built for my parents will collapse with her holding it together, and they will be gone forever. I can't lose them, Jason. He pulled me tightly to his chest and stroked my back as fat, hot tears slid down my face and soaked his shirt. If she says there is a wag we can help them with, then we'll do everything within our power to help them, he said softly. I nodded. I was a nervous wreck for the next few days, and the kids could tell Jason was doing his best to keep occupied while I broke down gradually. With each day that passes, I fear Lila might not have a solution, and that was why she wasn't back yet. Exactly 7 days after our conversation, she returned back to the pack. Her tensed shoulders told me all I needed to know. Her usually composed face showed nothing but worry and unease. You couldn't find any way to help them? I asked. I did, but Aries, it is very dangerous, she said. And I'm afraid if you have to do this, you have to do it alone. That's okay. I'll do whatever it takes, I replied. The determination in my eyes must have touched at her last defenses and reasons to say no. She approached me with a gentle and sad smile. Aries, my child, I shall help you, but it won't be easy. You must retrieve 3 items for the spell to work. Aries nodded, determination burning within her. The first thing you'll need is the tears of the naiad, a rare gemstone formed from the tears of water nymphs, Lila said. Where am I supposed to find water nymphs in our world? I asked. If this was the first item, I wonder what the rest are. I'll tell you how to get them and where, but you have to go alone, Aries. Jason can't help you, she said. No one can. Not even me. For the spell to work, it requires the blood of their direct bloodline. Being their daughter, that makes you the purest. I can do it, I said. I just have to convince Jason later that I could do it alone. For the next item, gather the golden pollen of the sunflower, a flower that only blooms under the light of the full moon, Lila said. And the last, but most important item, retrieve a vial of the river Styx's waters. It's located in the underworld and have the power to revive the dead. After saying that, she stretched her palm at me and an object materialized on it. This is a lunar compass for whenever you feel you are ready to leave, Lila said. I don't want to be pressured, but if you wish to do this, then you must do it fast. Time isn't really on our side. I took the compass out of her hands. The compass pulsed with a soft lunar light, adorned with intricate symbols that shimmered like the night sky. It brings back memories of my bracelet. How long exactly do I have to complete this task? I asked. The most I can hold my sister back is 2 months of human time. If you don't return before the 2 months are up, you will not get the chance to say your goodbyes. I nodded. I just hope it all goes according to plan. This compass will guide you through these worlds, she said. It will point the way to the hidden pathways, secret doors, and anything that will aid your journey. And when you are done, it will lead you back home. I couldn't express my gratitude hard enough. She had given me more than I could ever hope for. Now I just had to convince Jason I could do this on my own and hope our kids will understand. I made my way to Jason. I had to tell him before telling our kids in the pack. He was already in our bedroom waiting. Hey, beautiful, he whispered. I gave him a weak smile. What about the kids? I asked, moving to lay in his arms. They are all sleeping peacefully in their beds, he answered, striking my hair softly. I felt the tension slowly begin to leave my shoulders. I was home. He's my home. How did it go? What'd she say? I brought out the lunar compass before I said anything else. She said this would help guide the world to get her all that she needs to bring them back, I explained. Wait, what do you mean between worlds? He asked, sitting up. I remained silent, waiting for him to come to his own conclusions. You mean like leaving Earth? He asked again. I nodded. And this object is supposed to help us do that? Not us, Jason. Me, I replied. She said I have to do it alone for it to work. No, he said firmly. I'll be damned if I let you go on a suicide journey alone. Not happening, Aries. This is the only way I can save them. I'll be damned if I let them go without doing everything that I can, I retorted. I must do this, Jason. I have to bring my parents back, I said softly this time. Jason's expression was skeptical, his brow furrowed in concern. Aries, we have a pack to lead, a family to protect. We have our kids to protect. I know your parents don't deserve this, but... You are right. They don't deserve this, I said. You can't ask me to just say goodbyes. I can't do that. Not when I know I can bring them back. Jason's gaze softened, his love for Aries evident. I understand why this is important to you, but what about our pack? Our children? They need you, Aries. I need you. My heart ached at his words. I really hoped it wouldn't come to this, Jason, but I know you will lead the pack with strength and wisdom, I said, my resolve unwavering. You were born to be a king. Our children will be safe with you, and I promise I will find my way back to you and our kids. Jason nodded, his support unconditional. I will hold our pack together, Aries. Hell, I will hold the entire kingdom together, but promise me you will return. Promise me you will come back to us. I smiled with visible tears in my eye. I promise, Jason. I will return to you, to our children, and to our pack. I will not fail. I have much to live for. The next morning, Jason and I had to explain to our kid why I had to leave to bring back Grandma and Grandpa. Adriana and Ethan didn't make much fuss, but Lily bawled her eyes out for quite some time. Return to us soon, Mama, Lily whispered. Her voice trembled. We'll be fine, Mum. I'll help Dad take care of them, Adriana said. My heart swelled with pride and love. I will return, I promise, and we will run under the moonlight together, as a family. We will hunt together, play together, and live together. I promise, I said. I spent the next few hours preparing for my journey. Athena was mentally prepared and knew why we had to do this. Madison must have heard about my plans. She cried more than my daughter did. Felix and Josh were ready to drop everything and help me with my quest journey questions asked. I could feel their love surrounding me. I know it was selfish, but I still needed more. Later that day, Jason announced to the pack about my mission. We didn't hide the truth from them. Jason told them there was a chance I might not return. My eyes swept across the pack, meeting the gaze of each member. I could see the fear in their eyes. They were scared to lose their Luna and Queen. I don't plan on dying anytime soon. The warriors pledged their allegiance to me one more time, and the pack members followed after. Please keep them safe until I return. I said to Josh and Carlton. You don't have to ask that, Princess, Josh said. How can I let you worry about my little nephew and nieces? I pulled them all into tight hugs. Felix had tears in his eyes. He was rooting for me most of all to succeed. He could get a chance to see his old friends again. Do whatever you need to, he said, and he pulled me into one of his fatherly hugs. But come back safe. I nodded into his chest. The sun was fully dipped into the horizon when I set off to the pack's border, the lunar compass heavy in my pocket. Please be safe, Jason said, pulling me into the tightest hug. He pulled away, only to lock our foreheads with each other. I couldn't do another tearful goodbye with our kids. That would be too much. Promise me you won't put yourself in danger? I nodded. I want you to know that it's okay to give up if it becomes too much. I know. I love my parents, but I doubt they support me leaving my kids motherless for their sake. I had to survive no matter what. But most importantly, I want you to know that I believe that you can do this, and I love you so much, he said. I love you, I said, pulling his lips to mine. It took a while before we let go of each other. With one final glance at the pack and all my loved ones, I turned and left the pack. I didn't turn back until I had fully disappeared among the trees. I brought out the lunar compass after I felt I had walked quite the distance. We are alone now, Athena. I hope you are ready, I said. I thought of my first task, the tears of Naiad. The compass began to glow, and soon I disappeared completely from Earth. No turning back now. I felt my body begin to materialize again. Instead of being on land like I had assumed, I was underwater. I was still shocked for the first few seconds before the panic started to set in that I could drown at any moment. I stilled the panic and began flapping my hands the best I could to get out of the water. Wait, Athena yelled in my mind. The last thing you thought of was the tears of Naiad, and we appeared here. Get to the point quickly, Athena. Unless you want to find out how long we can hold our breath underwater, I said. Cheat answer. Not long. The tears of Naiad is somewhere in these waters. That's why the compass brought you here, Athena said. She was right. Why hadn't I thought of that before? With renewed determination, I swam harder through the crystal-clear waters. Not even the currents were strong enough to keep me from rescuing my parents. I swam deeper into the ocean's depths. The pressure began to build, and the water grew colder. My lungs burned desperately for oxygen. I still tried to push a little bit farther, but then I was hit by a strong current. This time it swept me away, and I struggled to maintain the little breath and strength I had left. My vision chose that moment to blur as my body weakened. I felt my body begin to sink slowly. Any attempts to call for help instantly quelled by the onslaught of water slowly filling up my lungs. It hadn't even been 24 hours since I promised Jason I'd return safely. Just before I gave in to the darkness, I saw a shimmering tail whipping fast in my direction. Hold on a little longer. I've got you, a voice said just as I succumbed to the darkness completely. I wasn't sure how long I remained unconscious, but when I did wake up, I was disoriented. I looked around me in a panic. It appeared I was still underwater, but I was breathing fine. Athena, what's happening? I asked. I'm just as confused as you are, she replied. Where are we? I asked. I didn't wait long before someone came to answer all of my questions. Hello, the stranger said. Hi, I replied to the beautiful stranger. It was weird describing a man as beautiful, but that was what he was. Were you? Did you save me? I asked. He nodded with a smile, his pearly teeth shining through. Thank you, I bowed my head a little. Where are we? I asked. You are in Aquaria, he replied. And my name is Marinos. and you're in our realm." "I'm Ares," I replied, "and I feel like my mind is still playing tricks on me, but it appears we are underwater, and we can both breathe and talk fine." "Yes, we are. I'm a merman, and I fed you a plant that would allow you breath underwater for the next week," he replied. "You already used 2 days out of said week." "What?" I asked. 2 days? It was just like 10 years ago." "Funny I would pass out for 2 days. Thank you for rescuing me, but I need to leave." "You're welcome, but you can't leave until our princess says so," Marinos replied. "Things just got really complicated." "You don't understand. I can't waste any time. My family is waiting for me to complete this quest and return home," I explained. "And you will, but not until you have seen the princess," he replied. "Who knows, she could aid you with your quest." "Okay," I sighed in resignation. "Let's go see your princess." He nodded once and led us out the room. We passed by a few corridors before arriving outside the house. The city's view stunned me into pausing. Aquaria shimmered like a mirage in the ocean's depths. Delicate spire and grand architecture that would rival those on land rose from the seafloor, crafted in coral, pearls, and glittering crystals. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Marinos asked. I didn't realize I had stopped walking, a term I never thought I'd use underwater. "It is," I said. "I don't even want to ask how it's possible." "Come on," he said, leading us further. I followed behind, still looking around quietly. "I noticed you haven't looked below my face since I arrived in your room." I looked up in surprise. I didn't realize I was doing that, or that he'd even notice. "I don't mean to offend you," I said. "Where I come from, we look people in the eye to exert dominance and strength, and I have a mate." "Oh," he said. "That's fine, I guess." "Thank you," I said. "Do you mind giving me a proper tour of your city while we make our way to where you're taking me?" I looked around again at the buildings in front of me. The buildings seemed to grow organically from the reef, with winding streets and alleys paved with glittering sand and shells. "Well, the city is divided into 4 quarters. The royal reef, where the princess resides," he said, pointing off to a distance. I nodded, listening attentively. "The Great Barrier? It's where we trade pearls, coral, and rare treasures. You could call it a market, if you will." "We have the kelp forest," he said, pointing to another side of the city. It looked like where the upperclassmen would reside. "And lastly, the Abyssal Academy. It's like a school for merkids," Marinos shrugged. I nodded. There was just something else that bothered me. "I have one more question, and I sincerely hope you don't get offended by it," I said. He nodded for me to continue, so I did. "How are you walking with legs?" "The magic in our city allows us to have legs," Marinos said with a smile. Who could blame him for being proud of his race? "But outside this walls our legs turn to fins. We are here." The palace looked exactly like I imagined on my way here. The palace shimmered like a celestial oasis in the heart of the ocean. Crafted from corals, shimmering pearls adorned the walls. The palace screamed of the ocean and the beauty it had to offer. The further we asked in, the more mesmerized I became. I had no idea when we entered the main throne room until I heard her voice. "Welcome to Aquaria, Ares." I looked at her in surprise. For all I knew, I had been asleep for however I was unconscious, and I only told Marinos my name when I woke up, which begs the question of how did she know my name? "Thank you." I trailed off, waiting to hear her name. "Nixie?" "Princess Nixie," she said, giving a little bow. I mirrored the action. "Forgive me, Your Highness, but may I ask how you know my name?" I asked. I couldn't help wondering what more things she already knew about me. "I already saw a vision of you coming here," she said with a smile. "You've really traveled far, Princess Ares." I doubt I was wearing a crown in her visions. How did she possibly know I was a princess? Athena came to the surface at the thought of a threat. Despite being underwater, I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand, especially when she said her next words. "You can put your other side away. I'm no threat to you, and you're certainly no threat to me, especially in my own realm." "I promise I mean no harm to you or your people," I said, reining back Athena. I silently warned her not to get hostile with the ruler of an unfamiliar realm. "I'm simple here for my quest." "Right, the tears of Naiad," Nixie said with a smile. My eyes widened as saucers. She just gave me a knowing smile. I looked around me discreetly for possible escape routes. My powers would be entirely useless here. "What do you want from me?" I asked, looking between her and Marinos that were still in the room. Well, I have good news for you, Nixie said with a smile. I have the ability to give you what you want. The bad news is you have to earn it or die trying. How do you want me to prove that I'm worthy of it? I asked. And may I ask what exactly you mean by dying? The tasks are really simple, actually. I'm sure Marinos here have already informed you of the time you have to be able to breathe underwater, Nixie said. All you have to do is complete these tasks before your time elapses and you'll be fine. Flashes of my kids' faces filter through my mind. Memories with Jason threatened to tear me from the inside out. I promised him I'll come back safely, and that's what I plan to do. What are these 3 tasks? I asked. The first is the maze of reflection, she said with a smile that made my spine tingle in the wrong way. The first means there were more tasks to come. What about the rest of the task? I asked. That depends on you proving you can survive the first task, she said with another infuriating kind smile. Would you like to begin now? Yes. The sooner the better, I replied. Getting the tears would put a step closer to getting my parents back. She snapped her fingers and I appeared in another room. The walls seemed to stretch on forever, lined with glassy surfaces that reflected every angle of my being. Reach the center, where the truth awaits, Nixie's voice echoed through the walls of the room. I made my way into the room. The mirrors began to whisper secrets, their silvery voices weaving fabric or doubts and fears in my mind. I could feel my heart racing with every step I took, my own reflection turning distorted in the mirror, each one telling me how I would never see my kids and Jason again, planting seeds of doubts in my mind. I felt the floor begin to shift as the room twisted. Corridors disappeared and reappeared like a living puzzle, creating an intricate maze. The voices in the mirror became older and more taunting. The me from when I was still with the powers appeared to play on my insecurities. You should have just stayed with the powers, then you won't be in this situation fighting for your life. But then I wouldn't have met Jason and had our beautiful kids, I replied. I wouldn't change my past for anything. It led me to the love of my life. The mirror shattered, disappearing into nothingness. My reflections began to blend into one another at some point, but with each confrontation, more and more mirrors shattered. The whispers grew fainter, replaced by silence. I took a deep breath to steel my resolve and kept moving forward in the darkness, slowly making my way to the center. After what felt like ages, I arrived at the center of the room. A crystal rose from the center, casting a warm, golden light in the once dark room. I reached out slowly, entrapped by its beauty, and the crystal spoke in a voice that resonated within my soul. Courage lies within. Your reflections are but shadows of your true self. The crystal's light slowly enveloped me, the rest of the mirrors shattered, their fragments disappearing like mist. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the throne room, and Nixie was spotting a hint of a smile on her face. Well done, Ares. You did better than I thought, she said. You accomplished what took others days and 6 hours. You can say, I'm highly motivated to win, I replied. And they weren't, she asked. Anyways, would you like to rest or begin your second task immediately? I would like to begin my second task immediately, I replied. I watched her lips stretch wider into a mode-visible smile. She was hoping I'd say that. The second task is the Song of the Sirens, she beamed brightly. I saw Marinos' eyes widened in panic before he schooled his expression. You want me to sing like a siren? I asked, confused. I'm not exactly a mermaid, Your Highness. I couldn't possibly do that. I know you can't, she said. The second task requires you to resist the alluring voices of mermaid sirens. I sincerely hope you can survive this one, Princess Nixie said with a smile. I turned to Marinos one more time. Despite doing his best to hide the horror from his face, his eyes told a different story. Athena, what are the possibilities that our powers will work underwater? I asked. 0% chance, Athena replied. I already knew that, but it still broke my heart to hear it. If you're done talking to your other half, let's begin, Nixie said. Retrieve the golden pearl in the siren's grotto. That was the last thing I heard before I was transported to the site where I'd take the second trial. I was hit with the strongest current, similar to the one that had knocked me out, and placed me in Aquaria. I swam hard against the currents, thoughts of only the pearl filling my head. my determination to succeed overriding everything else. For some reason, my body seemed to know which direction to head. As I approached the grotto, sirens' songs began to echo through the water, their voices like a chorus of angels, promising paradise and oblivion. I knew I had to resist their call, but the melody was hypnotic, making my quick stroke feel slower. The princess had given me a secondary task, one that required my full attention. I was to repair a damaged coral reef, crucial to the balance of the ocean's ecosystem, while navigating the siren's song. With a deep breath, I focused on the task at hand. I began to take the pearl out gently with repair, my magic infusing the coral with a soft blue glow. The siren's song grew louder, their harmonies weaving a spell that threatened to consume me. I could feel my resolve wavered for a moment, but I gritted her teeth and continued movements. After quite some time, I was able to dig out the pearl from the branches. At his actions, the siren's song reached a crescendo, their voices like a tidal wave crashing violently against her sides. I could feel my heart racing, but I was just determined to prove Nixie wrong. I had no intentions of dying before I got what I traveled between realms for. Suddenly, a school of mermaids appeared, their shimmering scales reflecting the colors of the rainbow. They began to sing a counterpoint to the siren's melody, their voices like a gentle breeze, soothing my frazzled nerves. The coral reef began to glow with a soft, pulsing light as my magic merged with the mermaid's song. I could feel myself slowly slipping into the allure of the voices, until thoughts of my parents flashes through my mind. With renewed strength, I swam deeper into the grotto, the siren's song still echoing in my mind. I eventually came across the particular pearl princess Nixie asked for. The pearl was nestled within a bed of soft, glowing seaweed. As I reached for it, the siren's song ceased, their voices fading into the distance. With the pearl in hand acting as the mermaid's counterpoint, the siren's spell had been broken completely. With the pearl in hand, I swam as fast and as hard as I could back to where I had originally started. As soon as I reached my starting point, I could feel the magic envelop me, and just like before, I appeared back in the princess' palace. The princess was still spotting a familiar smile that seemed to unnerve me. "Well done, Ares," she said, her voice like music. "You have proven your worth once more. Your determination to complete this quest must be more than I originally thought." I tilted my head a little in sign of respect, but not complete surrender. After all, I was still a queen of my own kingdom. "After taking the 2 tasks, I'll have you know you have 48 hours left with your ability to breathe underwater," she said. "So what do you suggest? Would Journey like to perform the 3rd task now or rest for a bit and return before your time elapses?" Inasmuch as I wanted to get all 3 tasks out of the way, I could feel the exhaustion beginning to set in. "I think I'd much rather rest, Your Highness," I replied. I watched as her smile reduced by a bit, and the light leave her eyes. "Very well, then," she said. "I'll see you in a few hours when you're well rested." I thanked her before Marino silently led me out of the palace. His eyes remained straight ahead as she led us out. "You don't have to feel guilty or anything. You were just doing your job by bringing me to her," I said. "I know," he replied. "I just wished I could have warned you. No one deserves to be ambushed like that." "It's perfectly okay. I survived, didn't I?" I asked with a smile. He offered the same to me. "I just need to rest for the last task." After a long, eventful sleep, I was finally ready for the last challenge. When it was time, Marinos took me down to the palace where the princess still awaited. "Ah, Ares, I'm guessing you are ready for the final task." I nodded. "Well, after seeing your work on the last task, I have decided to switch the 3rd task a little." "Don't worry, but it's just within your expertise," she said with a mischievous smile that would rival even that of the mischief god. "Yes. The 3rd task is the Chamber of Elements." The only question on my mind after her first words were, how could there be a chamber of elements underwater? Half the words she said after that filtered through my ears without sticking. "Complete this task and you'll have what you can hear for," she said. Just like before, she snapped her finger and transported me outside the palace. And like the 2nd test, I had to swim against currents and deep water pressure. Nixie's words echoed in my mind the further I swam. The Chamber of Elements is a submerged labyrinth hidden beneath the ocean's surface. Find it, face the challenge, and the tears will be yours. I swam deeper till the water around me began to churn. But after what felt like forever, I arrived at the first gate of the chamber. It felt like a separate plane from the normal ocean. It was still entombed in water. It was guarded by elemental forces themselves. The first section was the earth section, where boulders and rocks threatened to crush my bones with one wrong move. Athena, I'll need your help for this one, I said. Of course, she replied. What do you need me to do? I just need to tap into some of your strength and agility, I said. I know it might not make much difference underwater, but even a little can go a long way. I felt her opening her side of the bond to me. We merged both our powers without me shifting into my bestial form. Whatever plant they fed me was still working even while I was down there. I took that as a good sign and dodged through the obstacles. After clearing the first obstacle, next I was hit with the air element. Since we were underwater, it was like battling a tsunami, done by air, but underwater. Powerful currents and whirlpools tried to sweep me away, but swimming to the Siren's Cove and back made it easy for me to navigate the turbulent waters. The only problem was that it took longer than I thought. Next was the fire section. It was the most treacherous, with lava flows and burning embers blocking my path. Athena, I really need you for this one, I said with difficulty in my mind as I avoided a spit of lava thrown at my side. Next, I used my powers to summon a water shield, something I hadn't done since I had Ethan and Lily. Finally, I entered the water section, where the pressure was extreme and the darkness was absolute. I took out the gem Marinos had given me out of pity just before we left for the palace. The gem lit up, brightening the entire space. The light reflected off the walls of the room. All that was left was to locate the last door that would lead me out of there. I slowly made my way across the room, feeling the walls for the hidden handle. After a 180 trip round the room, I found the door. I pushed at the handle gently. The bright light behind the door causes me to close my eyes. When I opened them, I was back in the palace. The tall walls and coral designs that gave it that ethereal look stared back at me. The princess was spotting a smile, and so was Marinos, although he was more subdued, but I could see it. Well done, Ares, Nixie said. You have proven yourself once more, and just like I promised, I will grant you the tears of the Naiad. She stretched her palm, and a vial filled with shimmering liquid appeared on them. Here, take it, she said. I took it without any remorse. I had earned it fair and square. Thank you, princess, I said, my voice filled with gratitude. Your gift is beyond measure. The princess smiled at me, and it was the first genuine smile I had seen on her face in ages. You earned it, she said, and I hope it works for what you want to use it for. I nodded with a smile. As luck would have it, my week underwater would be coming to an end in 5 hours. The sooner I swam to land, the better. I held the vial carefully as Marinos led me to the rest of my things. After a heartfelt goodbye, we parted ways at the gates of Aquaria. All I had to do was follow the warm waters. It would lead me to land, and then I can finally use the compass and travel to the next realm. Swimming for 4 hours had begun to exhaust me, and I could feel the magic leaving my system as my lungs began to beg for air. I pushed and pushed until I reached the surface. After a quick count to ensure all my personal belongings were intact, I brought out the compass again. I stared at it with the vial in hand to assure myself that I still had it while I waited to get dry. With the vial in hand, I was this close to returning home to Jason, our kids, and the pack, and hopefully my parents. A few later, I was finally dry enough to travel across realms again. I closed my eyes and thought of where I wanted to go next. Wallenj let the compass do the rest of the work for me. Right now I was going to the underworld. I was going to acquire a vial of the river Styx's waters. With a deep breath, I stepped forward, and the ground gave way beneath me. I plummeted down a dark tunnel, the compass lighting my way. The air grew thick and heavy, filled with the scent of damp earth and decay. As I descended, the tunnel narrowed, and the walls grew colder. I could feel the weight of the underworld's magic pressing down on me. I shivered, but determination kept me moving forward. Finally, I emerged into a vast cavern, the ceiling lost in darkness. The compass led me across the treacherous terrain, avoiding deadly traps and treacherous creatures. You shouldn't be here, the ferryman said. This boat only takes the dead, not the living. I seek safe passage to the underworld. With the right price, it shouldn't matter if I'm alive or not, I said. Things don't work the same down here as they do up there, the ferryman replied. This is your last chance to return back to where you belong. I'm afraid I can't do that, I replied. If you won't take me across, then I'll have to find my own way. We got into a staring contest, and it's safe to say I won. I know why you're here, and it's futile, the ferryman said. I'll worry about that on my own. I just need to get across, I said. My face must have shown how desperate I was, 'cause he looked at me and stretched out his palms. I reached into my pockets, and the right coin magically appeared in them. I couldn't help looking at the full moon in gratitude before handing it over. The next few minutes was a quiet ride to the underworld. All I had to do now was locate the River of Styx. I received strange looks as I made my way around the underworld. Those with unfinished business looked at me with questions and hope in their eyes. Eventually, I found someone willing to point me in the direction of the river, but my victory is short-lived before I'm faced with a three-headed dog. I'm guessing you won't leave even if I ask nicely, just said slowly, not breaking eye contact even for a second. No, it won't, a voice replied. I maintained my eye contact with the dog even after the new guest. I know who sent you, but alas, I cannot let you leave with what you came here for. I guess I'll just have to steal it then, I replied. The stranger smiled before turning to face his guard dog. Cerberus, make sure she doesn't get anywhere near the river. The dog growled in reply and turned to face me. His face was covered in malice. Athena, how would you like to come out and play? I asked. I think you might like taming this overgrown dog. With pleasure, she replied, and I shifted into my bestial form, giving Athena total access. Try not to kill him, and also make sure not to die, I said, before leaving total control to her. Athena's paws padded silently on the floor as she approached Cerberus. Her eyes were still fixed on the river just behind him. As she got closer, she growled on warning, giving him the last chance to back down. Both our defenses raised against the guard dog. We had heard the tales of the famous underworld dog, and how no one could best him or get past him. I wasn't ready to let the possibility of failure stop me from getting what I want. With a fierce bark, Athena charged at Cerberus. The three-headed dog lunged forward, its jaws wide open. Athena dodged and weaved, her agility, speed, and training allowing her to evade Cerberus's attacks. She struck back with her claws, raking them across Cerberus's chest. The dog yelped in pain, but its other two heads continued to attack. Athena fought valiantly, her fur standing on end as she battled against Cerberus. They circled each other. The air was electric with tension as the two enemies circled each other. With a fierce bark, Athena charged forward, her claws digging into the ground. Cerberus lunged to meet her, its jaws wide open. The fight raged on, the two of us exchanging blows and snarls. I could feel the power of the lunar compass coursing through my veins, guiding my movements. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Cerberus lay defeated at Athena's paws. She stood panting, her chest heaving with exhaustion. Knock him out completely, I said in her mind. He's vulnerable now. Why can't we kill him? She asked back. Her paws tightened around Cerberus's neck. 'Cause we don't want the Lord of the Underworld having our name in his black book. We just need to get what we came here for, I replied, not leave a reason for him to find us and end our existence. I'd love to see him try, she replied. Athena, I sighed in her mind. She snarled and did as I said before, giving me back control. Well done, Ares. You are already so close, Lila's voice whispered in my mind. I wasn't sure how long I had before the god of the underworld felt his guard dog was down. I carefully dipped a bottle in the river and scooped out as much water as it could contain before leaving there. I paid the ferryman and left as soon as possible. He was right about the underworld not belonging to the living. I don't waste any moment waiting as soon as I get to where I arrived in the first place. I took out the lunar compass and thought of where I needed to go next. My magic enveloped my body, and I was soon out of sight, heading straight to get the golden pollen of the sunflower that grows only under the moonlight. And in no time, I'll return home. It took hours before the sensation stopped. The sky had already darkened to a point, which was in my favor, since the pollen I needed only grows under the moonlight. I found myself at the entrance of what looked to be a field of mystical meadows, the silvery glow of the moon shining softly on the grass. As I wandered through the dreamy landscape, the sweet fragrance of blooming wildflowers enveloped me. Fireflies danced around me, lighting my path like tiny lanterns. The air vibrated with the gentle hum of nocturnal creatures, creating a soothing melody. I looked around, feeling at one with nature. Athena constantly pleaded in my mind to be let loose, and I obliged. She ran freely in the field, chasing every firefly she could lay her eyes on. She ran until she crossed the tallest tree in the field. She gave control over to me. I could feel the energy emitting from the tree. I looked up at the majestic figure, the majestic sunflower. Its petals shimmered like gold in the moonlight. I approached it gently, feeling the weight of a possible future pressing down on me. I elongated my claws and climbed up to the very top where I plucked a few petals that I'd need. After keeping them all in a safe place, I made my way back down. I take in the peaceful scenery for a few more seconds before making my way out the meadow. "Hello again, Aries," I didn't think I'll ever hear again said to me. I could feel the goosebumps slowly cover my entire body as I turned to face the owner. "I know, I'm just as surprised to see you," Maverick said. "How are you here? You should be dead," I said. He took a step closer and smiled at me. "I know, but you seem to have pissed off the Lord of the Underworld, and he sent me here to kill you," he replied with a pleased smile. "You see, he told me you and that maid of yours are my unfinished business. If I kill you, I get to move on from that terrible place, and I don't plan on wasting second chances." "I killed you once, I can certainly do it again," I snarled. I stretched out my claws again as we both went at it. Since I wasn't sure what the deal he had made entailed, I didn't let him get too close to me. We threw hands for as long as we could before I pulled back and formed my verdant heartstring. It had been a while since I used them to fight. "I guess you really can't teach old dogs new trucks," he growled, kicking the bow from my hand. "Did you really think that was going to work on me again?" "No, but I did hope it would distract you," I said, hitting the back of his head with my claws as hard as I could. "Athena, do you want another Shebyogi, another revenge?" I asked as I avoided another kick to my side. I lunged at him and shifted midair. Athena's claws aimed straight for his neck. He took 2 steps back and shifted into his own wolf. The difference in size wasn't really a problem for Athena. She lunged for him again. She's speed and agility allowed her to leave a mark on his chest. She licked the blood off her paws with a wicket on her face. Maverick's wolf growled at her before coming in for the attack. The 2 wolves charged at each other, their jaws wide open, revealing razor-sharp teeth. Athena dodged Maverick's attack with ease, her agility and quick reflexes allowing her to weave between his snapping jaws. Athena countered his attack with a swift bite to Maverick's shoulder, but he merely shook her off, his fur protecting him from the blow. Maverick retaliated with a powerful swipe of his paw, but Athena leapt out of the way at the last minute, just barely avoiding the blow. She landed gracefully on her paws and launched herself at Maverick, their bodies colliding in a flurry of fur and teeth. The battle raged on, both our wolves exchanging blows, and neither gaining the upper hand. Athena's speed and agility were matched by Maverick's brute strength and dark magic. The moonlit meadow was filled with the sound of snarling and growling as we both fought for our survival. Athena tapped onto their shared power and increased her strength and determination. With renewed ferocity, Athena launched herself at Maverick, their jaws locked in a fierce struggle. In the end, it was Athena who emerged victorious, her teeth sunk deep into Maverick's throat. Maverick whimpered as he shifted back into his human form, and I did the same. "Ironic you'd be killing me for the second time," Maverick said with difficulty. He coughed up a few blood, and I almost felt bad for his weak state. "I guess you're really destined to have it all." "I wouldn't have if you didn't try to kill me," I replied. "You had a second chance to make another choice, but you still chose wrong. That's on you." "Don't judge me like you know everything about me," he said. Despite being on his last breath, I could still feel the hate behind his eyes. "I deserve everything you have." "And that's why you'll never have what it," I replied. I hope your trip back to the underworld is as pleasant as you want, and you can tell the person that sent you that I don't take well to threats, God or not." I watched him take his last breath again for the second time. I only leave after ensuring that he's completely dead. It's finally time to return home. I gathered all of my belongings and went in search of the lunar compass, only to find it safely tucked in Maverick's hands, broken. At least, now I knew why the bastard died smiling.